I guess starting here is as good a point as any. This is our newer Cavendish banana. It's a dwarf tree. It will produce full-size bananas. I'll put a link to information in description. In here I've got planted with it some beans because the nitrogen helps it. We're getting a new leaf here that's coming out. It's been getting leaves like crazy, so pretty cool. This is my Japanese maple, which I'm pretty sure has gone south and died. I'm seeing if it gets buds again. I really doubt it. We'll probably just pull it out of there soon. But we've got some dandelions that are just kind of growing naturally in here, and there's a lot of health benefits to eating dandelions. A lot of people just throw them away, but they're very good for you, and I'll put some information in that, and there'll be information on our Punk Crock page on Facebook. So then we'll come on over here to the next thing, pardon the mess. This I had planted with tomatoes earlier on in the year, and they're getting a little spindly. So I'm letting the tomatoes that are on them get ripe, but as you can see, there is fresh new growth down here. So what I'll do is after these tomatoes get ripe is I'll cut it probably all the way back down to here, and oftentimes I can keep tomatoes going until December in zone 9 that we're in. We've got all different kinds. This one I already cut back and it's getting a lot of new growth and flowers. We also have some basil to enhance the flavor of the tomatoes. We do have some cucumbers. These have done nothing this year, but I'm still hopeful. I mean, it's getting blooms, so if I baby it. We were out of town for a week in Yuma and things didn't get watered. And then we have these really neat tomatoes. They're a tiger stripe that I got from Baker's Seeds, and it's still growing, so I'm trimming it and letting it go. All right, now we come to one of my favorites, the watering trough. It's really doing stunningly. I'll try and find a picture and splice it in of what it looked like when I first planted it. In the back here, we have golden amaranth, and the leaves and the seed pods are edible, as are the stalks. When they're younger, you can use them either in a salad or sauteed like spinach. We've got some Armenian cucumbers that are doing well. We've got several cucumbers on that. Then we have some green amaranth down here and some pink amaranth, which not only is it pretty, but it's tasty. We have a tomato over here. We've got a tomatillo here that's getting flowers. If you can see that, the flowers. Might splice in a picture there. And it is also getting pods. So we'll have some tomatillos soon. Then we have some cucumbers in here. And this one actually is about ready to pick. More cucumbers, tomatoes, more tomatillos. We have a ton of carrots in there. More cucumbers and the amaranth. Back behind here we have some blackberries that I've kind of let go wild because I like blackberries. It's time to pick what's there and cut them back. Now, this is our keyhole garden number 2. This is a design that started in Africa. You can see here, this is why it's called the keyhole. And then you go in and this is your mulch, so that feeds the bed itself. So in here we have some sunflowers, one on either side that are starting to flower. Then I have a squash on either side, and you can kind of see it's getting powdery mildew because I didn't treat it last week. I will be treating it tomorrow, and I'll do a vlog on the neem oil and how I do that. But you can see this thing is coming around. It's grabbed on to the bird cage there, all the way down here and back around. We have lots of corn in here. This is another squash plant right there, also getting the powdery mildew, which is not cool. And you can see this one I've got kind of going around here, and you can see a spaghetti squash starting to form there. We also have radishes in here and beans. We like to use the radish for the tops. This is more beans in there. We've got lots of corn, tons of radishes. This is another kind of squash. I honestly can't remember what kind, but we like squash, so it's cool. And more corn. This is the bed that is doing the best with the corn out of all of them. So this is a really good way. Everything in here is thriving. You can see the squash coming around from that corner all the way down over to here, and another spaghetti squash right there starting to form. I may have to build a trellis for this by the end of the season. So this bed, muy bueno, doing great. So then we'll come over here and we have Confucius by the grapes, and Hefe over there checking out the other grapes. So these grapes have not been doing well. Our friend gave them to us. You can see some in here. These ones are actually doing pretty good. These ones have powdery mildew, which I've been treating, and as you can see, some of them are coming back really good. I've got beans planted in with these, which are about ready to pick. We'll be eating beans in a few days. Beans in all the pots, really. But the beans, again, help fix nitrogen, and plants like nitrogen. This one's struggling along. I'm trying to nurse them back to health, but we were out of town for, like I said, a week, and things didn't get watered or treated. Here's one that's doing really well. This one right there was looking almost as bad as that, and it's definitely coming back in. In here, we barely have 2 leaves, but I'm trying to bring it back. And then we've got some yellow French beans, which we'll definitely be eating the next couple of days. Then here, let me get back so I can get a better shot. That is Keyhole Garden number 1, which you can see is doing absolutely stunning. The beans have done what I wanted them to do, and they have trellised themselves up that center post there that's for mulching. Now we'll start on this side. This is Malabar spinach. Then we've got either broccoli or cauliflower, I'm not sure. A squash that is struggling. We've got some tomatillos that are flowering and setting fruit and also looking a little droopy. I haven't been watering as much. Got carrots throughout. Then we've got a beautiful looking tomato plant that is, I don't know if you can see that flower bud there. We'll be getting tomatoes off of this not too far off. Then we have some Swiss chard. We have a squash that was also starting to get the powdery mildew. So what I like to do is I treat it with the substance that I will reveal tomorrow, and then take off all the leaves. You'll see later on this is a patty pan squash, and you can also eat the blossoms. I need to be doing that more, but we just kind of have been busy. So then we have another squash. This here is really interesting fractal broccoli. It's broccoli romanesco. You can kind of see it starting to form there. These have like a Fibonacci sequence in the patterns of them. They're just amazing. More carrots, herbs, and there's a squash over there. There's some cilantro. You can see, if I can get my finger in there, right there is a Malabar spinach in the corner. And there's more Malabar spinach here behind the huge tomatillo covered in blossoms. We're gonna have a lot of tomatillos. You can also see some of the red runner beans starting to form. Really exciting for me anyway. Now this is the asparagus bed that I recently dug up and replanted. Everything in there was looking pretty much dead, and it's got so much new growth. This is asparagus that is flowering, so we'll get seeds and we'll stick them back in there. Companion planted it with tomatoes, and down here you can see some cilantro, more tomatoes, more cilantro. We really like cilantro. I think that might be some basil next to the cilantro. More asparagus, another tomato plant, another tomato plant, more cilantro. Looks like a tomatillo there in the corner. The sage in here has about died, so this is going to get completely yanked out tomorrow. We have some rosemary and 2 different types of oregano. So then let's come over here. Here we have a chayote squash that is really struggling. I really think the reason it's struggling is because of this ginormous eucalyptus tree. Eucalyptus trees, all this debris down here that they leave, it puts a plant toxin into the soil that either outright kills the plant or it stunts its growth, which is why we've done these beds to put new soil in, and it keeps it easy because if any leaf debris gets in there, I just pick it out. So this chayote did kind of nothing last year, and it came back on its own this year, so I've been kind of letting it do its thing, but it's not real happy and haven't got any squash on it, although right there looks like a flower, so, or possibly a squash, so I'm hopeful. I'm trying to baby it. Down here I tried some beans. I think they might be limas. Now this and this were my organic store-bought ginger that I had in my pantry that had gone and sprouted, so I just broke them apart and stuck them in there. Ginger likes shallow plantings and long plantings. I've actually got another wooden container that I'm going to put over here where nothing seems to like to grow, and do some more of that because we like ginger. This is a jasmine that I brought from my old house. This is our passion flower vine number 2, which is actually getting a new flower. Kind of out of focus, sorry guys. And does have a fruit on it, so that's my first passion fruit. It is getting new growth. As you can see, it's grabbing onto the fence, so that is a good thing. Here we have onions and yellow peppers that are starting to change color. I just recently staked this one because it needed it. The onion has gone to seed, and if you can see in there in the flowers all those black seeds, I'm going to come out here tomorrow and gather all these. You just cut them and then whack them around inside of a cup to get the seeds out, and then label them and put them in a bag, and you got more onions. So now this one kind of depressed me when we got back from Yuma. This is, you can barely see it, this is the first passion flower vine, which got broken off right here, but there were 2 leaves and it was still growing. It got about back up to here again, and while we were gone, something got to it and it's back down. So I'm gonna keep babying it and see if we can't get it to take root. Now here and here, as you can see, these are our artichokes. So after they were done for the earlier season, cut them back to about, you can see maybe 3 or 4 inches from the ground, and new sprouts are coming out. Now each one of those, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I see on this plant, and 1, 2 really good ones on this one. Each one of these will give off up to 20 artichokes. When these were established at my other house, I would get 2 seasons every year of artichokes. Now, I cut these ones back. I don't see anything yet on that one. Nothing on that one yet. Oh, this one's got some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5 on that one. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll be eating a lot of artichokes coming up, which is fine with me. And that's the thing I like about artichokes, is they just keep coming back. Okay. I know this might be boring some people. I apologize. They won't be as long in future. This is just kind of a been gone for a while, not a real update. It's more of a getting to know the garden. So in this pot here, we have some beans, which that leaf was not happy, but we do have beans on it, so there's hope. And then here we have a kohlrabi, and you can see the kohlrabi starting to form down there. This one got decimated when we were gone. It had several sunflowers which were broken off and just gone. It wasn't like they were broken in the wind, like something took it. But we have an actual okra. We have another little okra. And we've got a couple of watermelons kind of going. We do have some blossoms on them. Now this, I am super excited about. This is the ice cream bean tree. And it was not looking super great a while back, and I started watering it more, and it just has so much new growth on it. I'll definitely post a link about this interesting bean. Can't wait to get flowers on it. Okay, so this is planting bed number 3, and in the cubby holes we have corn and beans, and we do actually have some beans coming in on them, and the corn's doing okay, but as you can tell, nothing like that, right? Then here we have a tiger melon, and it is getting some blooms, but it also is suffering from powdery mildew, so we will try and attack that tomorrow. Cut a bunch of beans off of the royal purple beans, but there are a lot of beans still on here. And here we have some radishes, as you can see. Got to clean the garden up tomorrow. And we got okra, and you can see we've got okra on them and flowers. I'll try and get a picture to post on our Facebook site. Lots of okra going all over. They have really pretty flowers, so I'd like to show you what the flowers look like. Under here, we have planted in the ground stevia, which is an amazing sweetener. You may have heard of it, but you can literally put these leaves in tea or dry them and crush them and use them as a sugar alternative. Here, we have a pug who's very interested in the tomato plant and the pinwheel. You want to be on camera, dude? Okay, so in this one, we have radishes and tomatoes that are getting good blooms, so we'll be seeing tomatoes on this one soon. In this pot, we have the jujube tree, which when I bought it a couple months ago, it was just a stick. I don't think we'll be getting any fruit this year. It did get some little flowers, but they went by the wayside, but I'm guessing next year we will be eating jujubes out of there. This is garden bed number 2, which is not doing too good. Maybe it's because it's 2. It's poopy. I don't know. This was bok choy that I knew I planted too early and it was going to bolt, but that's okay because all these are seed pods. So tomorrow on my day off, I'm going to come in here, dig all that up, and save the seeds and replant it with something else, rotate the crop. We will be leaving alone this beautiful Swiss chard in here because that will be eating. In this middle area, even though they're not doing fabulous, these are beets, and you can eat the greens or the roots when they come in. These beans are not doing fab. This one's not doing bad. If you can see this, there's actually some lima beans on it. Then these, I'm thinking if I trim them up, they're cabbages. They're super pretty if you can see that. But being away a week in Yuma, they didn't get watered and they're not super happy, you know? So I'm thinking if I take away those outer leaves that are not so cool, we might be able to still salvage those. More beans, lots of beans growing. This is our hibiscus, and if I can get in here good, you can see there's actually flowers coming in, so we'll be having tea of that soon. Down here we have a patch of thyme, so we'll never have to buy that herb again. Now this is garden bed number 1 right here. So we have 3 zucchini plants, which they're not looking so good. They got the powdery mildew pretty bad again, but if you look over here, where is it? That leaf right there, where's my finger? Whoop, that leaf right there. That leaf's probably gonna make it. So tomorrow I'll come out here with some gardening shears and a cup of isopropyl alcohol, and I will go in and I will cut all the bad stuff off, dipping the shears in the alcohol in between, kind of a garden surgical procedure, because as you see, it's still bearing fruit and the fruit is fine. Down here there's one too, so if I can attack this, we can bring it back and get more fruit. We got some radishes down there, more radishes, yellow banana pepper. We've got pickling cucumbers, which also again are not looking super happy, so I got to take all the dead stuff off tomorrow and treat them. More pickles. Tomato plant. This is yellow boy tomatoes, and it's not happy because it's been abused while we were away, but we'll get it back. Here we got a butternut squash, our first butternut squash, which this one also not looking super great, but there's still decent growth up at the top. And if you look at the one on the other side, we're getting a fresh bloom and a fruit. So, you know, if I trim these back, take all this yucky stuff off, I think we can keep the top growing. Over here, we have the beans in there, which they grew real good, but none of the flowers on this one. I mean, there's like one bean right there, but they didn't really produce a lot of beans, so kind of a letdown, but that's how it happens. Gardening's an experiment. And beans here you can kind of plant year round. Now this one is also looking sad. This is one of the mints we've got, which it will make it back, but you know, not being watered was not happening. We've got some kale in there, which have new growth, so I'll just cut all the yucky stuff off tomorrow and they'll be fine. Down here we have a tub that has some basil in it. Nothing else much. I'll come out here and plant some seeds in there. Then we have a mandarin clementine, which is doing amazing. Next to that, that is my dwarf avocado, which is doing stunning. And then next to that, over here, we have a Zutano avocado. Here is the chocolate bell pepper plant. Got one pepper off it so far. It's been a little abused, but I think that we'll get more peppers out of it. On this side, we have the purple bell pepper, and in with it, I have companion planted 1, 2, 3, 4 eggplants. They grow well together, and we will be getting more fruit off of these, I'm sure. Then we have the goji berries, and as you can see, there's just tons of them forming everywhere. Super pretty, but weird. One had dropped onto this leaf here, so I figured it was ripe and I popped it in my mouth and it was bitter. So I don't know what's up with that, but maybe it wasn't ripe or whatever. That was not what my goji berries at the other house tasted like. They tasted more like a very sweet, gentle melon flavor, so hopefully it wasn't just ripe. And I did read something online that said sometimes the first year they can be bitter, so who knows. Then we have, I believe this is Yerba Buena mint, which is going absolutely crazy. Next to that, and I just let the dandelions go in the pots because we use those for salads. This is a Fuji apple. Soon I will be getting a secondary apple tree because this is the only tree that I have that is not self-pollinating. Down here we have the beginnings of an olive tree. We have an olive tree over here that produces olives. We've yet to utilize them, but next season we will. We've been trimming it down so it's more manageable. But we found this sprout, and so we took it up and put it in the pot, and we'll start another one. Here we have our Fantasia nectarine, some sort of citrus. These were gifted to me by a friend, and I don't know what they are. They were not doing well, and I have been nursing them back to health, and they're doing pretty good now. And you can see I've got some beans planted in with them. Same thing with this one. Beans down in there, and I believe some dill. Then we have some potatoes and potatoes. This is another citrus, not sure what, nor am I sure what this citrus is. You can also see in with the green bell peppers, which have tons of blossoms right now. Grew onions, and these onions have, like the others, gone to seed, and I'll be coming out here tomorrow and harvesting all those seeds and replanting them other places. Over here we have a key lime, which is coming back from nearly being dead and has tons of blossoms on them. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells so good. And then this is the miracle plant. This is my Buddha hand, which literally had like 2 leaves left on it. I've got some beans going in there too, as you can see. But it is getting new fruit. This thing has been really weird. I had it in this container over by the far wall by the garage, and the neighbor has a lemon tree. Well, for some reason, the fruits now are round like a regular lemon, like it's mutated or something, which I've not been able to find any information about that online or it happening, so this is a weird thing. So I'm kind of hoping once it gets new leaves and is healthy, it'll go back to being the weird, you know, Buddha hand shape. All right, then next we have Blueberry Alley. These blueberries are doing absolutely stunning. I can't tell you how much. I mean, look at the new growth on this. It's just insane, and there's new stuff popping up all over the place. That one I had given up for dead, and you know, little TLC, and it came back. Blueberries like to be acidic, so I moved them to this area specifically because this pine tree here, and I'm gonna say it's a success. Every year I usually buy 2 blueberries and kill at least 1, and this year all 4 of these have thrived, so I'm pretty excited. These are actually probably gonna go in the ground next season. Down here we have something that I planted. I'm not sure what. I'm kind of thinking it might be spinach. More tomatoes and cilantro. All I need to do is plant some onions in there and we got salsa, right? This is a tomato pot, which is actually kind of neat because what I did is I put 2 pots in one. The inside pot, let me see if I can somehow prop this up and not have it tip over and show you what I'm talking about. There we go. Stay. Alright, so you can remove the outer pot, and then you have panels cut out inside. See that potato right there? You can grab your potatoes and harvest them without killing the whole plant and dumping it out. It's actually pretty brilliant and works really well. And I literally cut the eyes out of organic potatoes I buy at the market and bury them in the bottom. I'll do a whole vlog about that because it's pretty interesting. This one is, as you can see, okra, and we got an okra flower there, so I'll keep an eye on that one and maybe do a time lapse. That'd be neat. And then radishes. We love using the radish greens for pestos. Next to this, we have a gypsy bell pepper. They're sweet peppers. Doing good. In this one, we have radishes and an Armenian cucumber, which really hasn't done anything. I'm still hopeful, but not seeing much. And we've got the radishes actually flowering, super pretty, and we'll get seeds from that. This one is apple mint, which is bouncing back nicely from our vacation. And in with the apple mint, I have some peas planted. We're actually getting some pea pods. And then this one, tomorrow, I mean, there is some leaves that are okay, but this one has really been fighting the powdery mildew. I'll probably, you know, do surgery to this one too tomorrow and cut all that dead stuff off, because if you look back here, it's still getting 8-ball squash. So if it's still producing fruit, why am I gonna kill it? Not yet. Next one over, we did a radical surgery to this one. It has some radishes, but we are, where is it, getting new fruit on this one. This is the Japanese long tomatoes, which or the cucumbers, which I absolutely love. So that one's doing well. This one, the yellow crookneck, pretty much done. I think it's getting yanked tomorrow. You can see that we've actually got some pods on one of the radishes that have gone to flower, and those are edible. They're actually kind of tasty. And this has corn in with it that's getting seed, but probably not going to do much more. And down here we got cilantro and spinach, and cilantro and spinach. And that pretty much concludes our first garden report. From here on out, they won't be as long because it'll just be updates when fun stuff happens. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next garden report.